Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Hello viewers and students. You are welcome to this segment of Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and Television e-learning program. The subject once again is English language. Today we are treating two items: adjectival clause and the compound complex sentence. Now, if you recall, we have all this while been treating the structural sentences, where we said that there are 4 different types of sentences under structural sentences. And we listed these as the simple sentence, the compound sentence, the complex sentence, and the compound complex sentence. Now, over the course of these 2 weeks, we have taken and discussed the complex sentence, where we said that it consists of a dependent and an independent clause. And we said the independent clause is our example of the simple sentence. And then we said that if we are to consider the dependent clause, then there are 3 types of dependent clauses. And we name these as the nominal clause or the noun clause, the adverbial clause, and the adjectival clause. We have discussed, as it were, the noun clause, and we have also discussed the adverbial clause as well. Today, our focus will be on the last part of it, which is the adjectival clause. We begin with the definition of it. We said the adjectival clause is a dependent clause made up of a group of words having a subject and a verb, but incomplete to stand alone as a sentence. That there are 2 kinds of relative or adjectival clauses, and these are the restrictive and the non-restrictive relative or adjectival clause. A restrictive relative clause restricts or limits the noun or pronoun it qualifies. It makes the noun or pronoun more specific and have information essential to the meaning of the sentence. Now here are some examples. Number one, people who are rude are difficult to deal with. People who are rude are difficult to deal with. You'll find who are rude in bold. It qualifies the noun people. Number two, the button that is on top turns on the machine. The button that is on top turns on the machine. In bold, that is on top turns. It qualifies the noun phrase the button. Number three, I want to live in the house that is near the beach. I want to live in the house that is near the beach. That is near the beach adds more information to I want to live near the house. Number four, the house that is near the beach sells for ₦1 million. The house that is near the beach sells for ₦1 million. Now, that is near the beach is our relative clause there, and what it qualifies is the house that is near the beach. It gives us the specific house. Only one is near the beach, and as such, that is the one the person is talking about. Now, the non-restrictive relative clause does not provide any important or extra information about the noun it qualifies. Number five will show you this. I can't afford to buy the house, which sells for ₦1 million. I can't afford to buy the house, which sells for ₦1 million. Now, the house is non-specific. It could be any house that sells for ₦1 million is not within the reach of the person who is speaking. Number six, the beach house, which is too far from my workplace, sells for ₦1 million. So you see, which is too far from my workplace qualifies the beach house. Now, relative clauses can be identified by the following pronouns. Number one, that. Number two, where. Number three, when. Number four, who. Number five, whom. Number six, whose. Number seven, which. And number eight, why. Now, if you look at all these pronouns we have mentioned, they connect to the words, they are directly connected to the words they qualify. Now take a look at the following sentences. One, the old man whose car was stolen bought another. The old man whose car was stolen bought another. Within this sentence, there are two types of clauses. One of it is independent and the other is dependent. The independent clause is opened and the dependent clause is placed between it. Because we can equally say the man bought another, and that makes sense. But whose car was stolen cannot stand on its own, and therefore that is our relative clause which qualifies the noun phrase the old man. Number two, the man whose daughter got married is here. As in number one, the man is here is our independent clause, which is opened and the dependent clause inserted within it. And therefore we have the man whose daughter got married is here. And in bold you have whose daughter got married, qualifying the noun phrase the man. In number three, Grilled meat, which many people adore, is not my favorite. Grilled meat, which many people adore, is not my favorite. Which many people adore, relative clause, qualifying grilled meat. Number 4, my brother who lives in London is home for Christmas. My brother who lives in London is home for Christmas. Who lives in London tells us more about the person that is specifically mentioned. This person may have many brothers, but only one lives in London. As such, who lives in London adds more information to my brother, a noun phrase. Number 5, the house which John built for his parents is too big for them. The house which John built for his parents is too big for them. Which John built for his parents qualifies the noun phrase, the house. Number 6, the man who kicked the dog to death, who kicked the dog has been arrested. The man who kicked the dog has been arrested. Who kicked the dog qualifies the man. Now, the difference between phrases and clauses. The difference between phrases and clauses. A phrase is related group of words, while the words work together as a unit, but do not have a subject and a verb, while a clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. Now, this is how you identify them. A clause does not have a subject or a verb, the phrase does not have a subject or a verb, while the clause will always have a subject and a verb, irrespective of whether it is a nominal clause, a relative clause, or an adverbial clause. Now let's take a look at the following sentences to be sure of what we are talking about, because there are 5 different types of clauses and we want to identify these so that you all know them. Number 1, the boy on the bus. The boy on the bus. Noun phrase. The boy on the bus is a noun phrase. It has a subject, but there's no verb. Number 2, we'll be running. We'll be running. Verb phrase. Number 3, in the kitchen. In the kitchen. Prepositional phrase. Number 4, very quickly. Very quickly. Adverbial phrase. Number 5, a beautiful brown. A beautiful brown. Adjectival phrase. Now, if you look at the 5 sentences we have discussed earlier, this is an added information on them. In 1, there is a subject, no verb. In 2, there are verbs, no subject. In 3 is marked by the preposition in, but no verb. 4, the word quickly is marked out, but no subject or verb. In 5, beautiful and brown are adjectives, no verbs. You'll observe that this differs from the clauses below, as each clause has a subject and a verb. Number 6, when I got home. When I got home. I, subject, got, verb. Number 7, as though he was mad. As though he was mad. He, subject, was, verb. 8. Whose daughter got married? Whose daughter got married? Daughter, subject. Got married, verb. Number 9. He is sleeping. He is sleeping. Now this is an independent clause, and therefore it has a subject, he, and your verb is sleeping. Now that marks the end of the 3 types of clauses. Today we finish also with the last part of what is known as the compound complex sentence. Now this sentence is made up of at least 2 independent clauses and 1 or more dependent clause or clauses. For example, though James prefers watching horror movies, he rented the latest sci-fi movie and he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it very much. Though James prefers watching horror movies, he rented the latest sci-fi movie and he enjoyed it very much. Now within that sentence, there are 2 independent clauses and 1 dependent clause. 2. Kande forgot her best friend's birthday, so she sent her a card when she finally remembered it. Kande forgot her best friend's birthday, so she sent her a card when she finally remembered. 2 independent clauses plus 1 dependent clause. Compound complex sentences are normally longer than all other kinds of sentences. As such, it is important to properly punctuate them. Now, here is an exercise for you to do. We have 3 items, 1, 2, 3. The class prefect wept for joy. The graduating students cheered because they all passed their exams. The class prefect wept for joy. The graduating students cheered because they all passed their exams. Now you are to connect these 3 items together to form a compound complex sentence. If your answer is like this, number 4, then you are correct. The class prefect wept for joy, and the class cheered because they all passed their exams. The class prefect wept for joy, and the class cheered because they all passed their exams. You will notice there are 2 items connected with the conjunction and. It means that the 2 items connected are of equal standing. Both of them are independent clauses. Because they all passed their exams, cannot stand on its own, and therefore it has to rely on the other 2 to make sense. Like I have said, today's lesson concludes all that we have doing in the previous 2 weeks. Remember that within the previous 2 weeks, I have shown you that you can look at sentences 2 ways. Either you look at them according to structure or you look at them according to function. Now, if you're looking at them according to function, then we have 4 types of sentences. We have the statutory sentence, we have the obligatory sentence, we have the exclamatory sentence, and we have, I have mentioned obligatory, statutory, exclamatory, and of course we have the interrogatory, which is the 4th. Now, if we have these 4, statutory simply gives information. Obligatory gives command. Exclamatory expresses the speaker's feelings. And interrogatory simply asks questions. Now we have to teach you these because we expect you to write essays. The essays you are going to write must make use of all these types of sentences. Number 2, your essays Normally, if we read them, they're all made up of one type of sentence. And reading them is normally very boring. Therefore, using these different types of sentences makes your writing to be very interesting to read, and it frees the examiner to give you more mark. Structural sentences we treated next, where we said that there are 4 different types. We also said that we have simple sentences, we have compound sentences, we have complex sentences, and we have compound complex sentences. Now, we treated each one of these adequately so that you get to understand them very well. When we got to complex sentences, that is where we made a pause and did not continue to compound complex sentences, because we have to make you understand the different components that come together to form complex sentences, And we said within the complex sentence that there are 2 different types of clauses, that we have the independent clause and we have the dependent clause. Now, the dependent clause itself, there are 3 things or 3 items there. We have the adverbial clause, we have the nominal clause, and we have the adjectival clause. We have taken all of these items for discussion, beginning with the adverbial clause, where we said we have 8 different types, and then we came to noun clause, which we treat according to the function that the noun performs in a sentence. The last one we are treating today, adjectival clause, where we said it is a dependent clause made up of a group of words having a subject and a verb, but which cannot stand on its own or make sense. And that we said that there are 2 types of relative or adjectival clauses. These are the non-restrictive and the restrictive relative clause. And we have tabled all these ones for discussion, where I gave you sentences like for the restrictive relative clauses, I gave you 1 to 4, where I said people who are rude are difficult to deal with. Number 2, the button that is on top turns on the machine. Number 3, I want to live in the house that is near the beach. And number 4, the house that is near the beach sells for ₦1 million. Now you'll notice something. None of these sentences has any punctuation mark in it other than the full stop at the end. The non-restrictive relative clause does not provide any important information about the noun it qualifies. Now, if you look at these again very close, you'll observe that there is a comma. Okay? And we said that the relative clause is marked by the following pronouns: that, where, when, who, whom, whose, which, why. And that these words help to mark out the following. Next, the old man, you notice the word whose. The man, you also notice the word whose. Grilled meat, you also notice the word which. My brother, you also notice the word who. The house, you notice the word which. And in number 6, the man, you notice the word who. Assignment: use the following clauses to make a compound complex sentence. Use the following clauses to make a compound complex sentence. 1, because they passed their exams. 2, the class captain wept for joy. 2, the class captain wept for joy. 3, the graduating students cheered. The graduating students cheered. I'll go over it again. Use the following clauses to make a compound complex sentence. 1, because they passed their exams. 2, The class captain wept for joy. 3. The graduating students cheered. Now I remain as it is, Mr. Emmanuel Jatau. My number remains the same, 080-5731-3044. The name and the number once more, Mr. Emmanuel Jatau, 080-5731-3044. Now, remember, stay home, stay safe, adhere strictly to the warnings by the NCDC and the directive by the state government. God bless you.